You have been given a salary increase. You have been given some money that is extra above and beyond what you have been earning. Or you have changed jobs and all of a sudden you have doubled the salary. What do you do with extra income that has come either planned or unplanned? And especially if it is going to be consistent income over a period of time. So it is going to be income now going forward. It is not an abrupt thing or a windfall or such a thing. So what do you do? Here are several things that you should do. The first thing is don't change your living situation. Don't move houses, because majority of you, when you have double your income, the first thing that you think about is doubling your current housing situation. So paying double the rent, living in a fancier neighborhood, moving to this location that you have been thinking is prime, because now you have the joto ya pesa, or you're feeling a little bit warm all over because you have a little bit more coins and monies in your pocket. So don't move houses yet. At least for the first 3 months, don't yet move, so that it will not be an emotional decision based on you trying to run away from perceived poverty, simply because now it has looked a little bit more shadier because you have a little bit more money in your pocket. So don't move locations, because moving locations will do this to your finances. The first thing, if you double where you are paying currently in rent, you are probably going to double your food bill, because the place where you will move to will probably have a little bit more cost in terms of where you buy your food. It is going to have more costs in terms of schooling, if your kids are going to school and all these things, just because you've changed the location to a little bit more primer and more fancy and more greener. Your costs are going to double just by moving. So don't move for the first 6 months. The next thing is don't buy a new car, especially on loan. A lot of people make the bad decision of consulting with financial advisors who are in the form of people who are offering new loans. Now that you have a little bit more money trickling down in your pocket, in your bank, even the bank calls you more, because now you are somebody who they can make money from. So don't buy a new car, and especially on loan. Don't think about upgrading your car yet. Think about the one that I have. Is it meeting my needs? I know somebody who was promoted in their job. They didn't have a big salary increase, but now they became a manager. And this person felt that the small Toyota Spacio that they had was not worthy of their salt. So they had to get a big SUV, Mitsubishi SUV. So they were excited because now I'm a manager. Managers drive SUVs. They don't drive the small Spacio 10-year-old cars. They buy a big Mitsubishi Outlander. So this person buys this car, but several things that they never figured out. It is going to be more costly. It is going to be less reliable because now there are more parts that are moving. It is going to consume more in terms of financial expectations that you give unto others, because now you have a big car. So people expect a little bit more money from you. The parking lot that you are using is now small, so you either have to change houses or pay for some type of fancy parking in a different location. So all these costs have compounded simply because you bought a car, because your circumstances have changed. So don't change just yet. Take a few minutes to think, the car that I have, is it working? Is it being used for my purposes? Because remember, this person was going to a country very few and often very few moments, like 2 weeks in a whole year, is when the car is actually using its 4-wheel drive capacity. All this time, if you avoid the rains, you can actually survive with this Toyota Spacio. But again, some salary and a position changed, so they change things immediately. The next thing that you do not do yet is change schools for your kids. I know that you feel like you are underprivileged, or you walk around and see neighborhoods and schools where people take their children, or maybe people in where you work take kids to a certain school. So don't feel the pressure to take them in that school. Take them to a school that you can be able to pay 2 times over in terms of fees. If you can't pay 2 times over fees in the school where children is going now, it is not a place that you could go, because school fees can actually change up to 50% more, and you need to be able to pay from your pocket and not take a loan or suffer or change your children's schools because the school fees has suddenly increased a little bit. So don't change schools yet. Make the mathematics, think about it, because No longer are you increasing the school fees by 20%, but all these incidental costs are going to increase by more than 50%. The transport, the expectation, the school trips, and all these things. The fancier you go by 20%, the more the overall cost increase by 50%. So think about all these things before the small income that you have as an increase gives you some pocket fever or some stomach fever because you have something in your pocket. The next thing that you need to do is don't change your friends or the people that you hang out with or the local entertainment joints that you frequent. So if you have been eating at certain hotels that are slightly more reasonable, don't just change because you have a little bit more coin, because the more you change, the more money will actually come out of your pocket. Because remember, these things not only trickle down, but they compound effectively. When you take the money that you have and you start giving to this fancier hotel in these fancier locations, you start buying all this liquor instead of the beers that you're used to that were a little bit cheaper, just because you have a little bit more coin in your pocket. These costs compound. So don't change your entertainment joint, your friends, because remember, your friends knew you when you didn't have much, so they're going to entertain you even when you're not using as much. But you need to create new friends, especially when you want to move up the social ladder and make more socially upwardly mobile people. They're going to spend a little bit more cost. I know somebody who was complaining that they went for a certain outing with some friends, some new friends that they had made, and these new friends took the person to a place where they were doing cocktails in Kenya for 2,000 plus. Cocktail, one glass 2,000 plus. Why? Because somebody changed jobs, and now all of a sudden they want to have new friends who are taking them to places where they're paying 2,000 for drinks. Don't change friends yet. If the ones that you have are reasonable for your bills now, if you get a little bit more income, don't just dump them or change them because they're not as socially mobile or their incomes are not as much. So don't change your friends just yet. The other thing that you should not do is start buying new clothes and luxury goods. All of a sudden, some Android phones become a bit irrelevant because now you have some money. Now you're earning a six figure. Now you have some money in your pocket. So all of a sudden, Android phones become a little bit yesterday for you. So now you want a new iPhone. You want a new iMac. In fact, now you don't want to do Windows anymore. Now you want a Mac system laptop, a new one. In fact, you want to import it. All this excitement about gadgets compounds up significantly. So because you're earning a little bit more money, don't just change electronics all of a sudden. Let not your TV now look like it is a lot smaller because you have a lot bigger income. Take your time, 6 months, before you make any exorbitant expenses. The biggest challenge and the biggest problem is when you start doing all these changes together immediately and they compound, and all of a sudden you're starting to take advance on your salaries. You had an increase in your income, but now you're taking advances 6 months because you did all these things I've told you not to do. You do them immediately. Stop doing that. There's an inner voice, an inner stupidity that comes to you that tells you, now that you have some income, change some expenses. When your income increases, don't increase your expenses immediately. Increase your investments immediately as you figure out what changes can I make. So if there are going to be any changes that should be thick and heavy are investments, not expenses. The people who increase their expenses when their income increase are people who are subject to poverty. They have changed their income, but their poverty is either going to stay the same or actually increase. So don't increase your expenses when income comes. When income comes, increase your investment so that your income increases, so that you have more capacity to be able to enjoy even more things. Of course, the other thing that you should not do is plan a fancy holiday. All of a sudden, you have been going to Mombasa, and Mombasa still seems a little bit mainstream for you. Now you want to do Zanzibar, Dubai, and now you want to go to Europe, you want to go to this, and you want to do to that. In fact, you were saying, if I'm not paying in foreign currency, then it is not a holiday that I'm doing. Why all this fanciness in travel? Take your time. In fact, before you do any big holiday, take a whole year. If you have a new income, think about, am I getting value? I see a lot of Kenyans stream to Dubai, want to go to Dubai, and I wonder, what nonsense is this? There's a lot of deserts in Kenya. Why are you paying hundreds of dirhams to go and look at some funny deserts out there? Why are you paying all this money to go and look at people buying gold and buy a few things and buy overpriced items in a foreign mall at 40 degrees weather just because you want to experience an international city, an international place. All this fanciness in travel, reduce on it, tone down on it. Before you spend any foreign currency because you have a little bit more money, think about what can I be able to do locally? What travels have I been doing and have I not been missing out? If you've done Masai Mara in Kenya, then do Southwest in Kenya. If you have been doing camping because you have been broke, don't just go out and get a 5-star hotel. Maybe you look for KWS hotels and situationships that are a little bit easier on the pocket. So these are the things that you do. Don't double your expenses because you have doubled your income. Take your time. Relax. Imagine yourself having a richer life in terms of having more control over your time, over your money, and over your incomes. Diversify your incomes, diversify your investments, and be able to be in a better place. Because when money comes extra in your pocket, it should be capital to see you grow further in wealth. It should not be a source of spending money, a source of giving out money. It should not be money coming into your pocket and sooner rather than later leaves your pocket. Don't be that kind of person. That money goes faster out of your pocket than it comes in your pocket. If you're going to earn money for a month, then don't spend it in a week. Spend it in 2 months, spend it in 3 months, spend it for a lifetime. That is how we invest for the future. I hope you're learning, growing, and becoming better in your financial affairs. My name is George King, your online finance guy who helps you grow wealth, maintain wealth, and become better in your financial wellness. Thank you and enjoy the day.